back to the programming. So they'd done all that. That was on Wednesday night, and they had one more shot to rectify their mistakes on Friday night. And do we have any ratings information? Because I heard Wednesday night was back down in the troublesome territory for their Wednesday night show again.
I will find them
possibly
while we're
because
talking.
of the multiple involvement of Pockets and his friends. But as I said, they had one more chance on AEW Rampage on Friday night, the 12th, the go-home show for the pay-per-view. And remember what I said earlier about Jungle Boy. He's great with a veteran that can lead him and make him fight from underneath. And I honestly, I had high hopes for Jungle Boy versus Bobby Fish. For many parts, I was happy with those hopes that I had. But there was one part and again, I'm afraid it's Fish. Either maybe he's used to the laxness there now already, or maybe it's just what they do. But they started out. Jungle Boy started with the jump start. He was all over Fish because they did an angle, and there was some heat. But Fish took over, and Jungle Boy's fighting back from underneath, and he hit the top rope move that he had, tried earlier and been foiled. But then Fish takes him to the floor and bounces him off the railing, and they proceeded to fight on the floor for a 1 minute and 40 seconds in front of Ref Aubrey, who used to have some level of competence and control in the ring. There was no count, well, she maybe acted like she was counting, but it was 1 minute and 40. I think she could have got to 10 or 20. And they go to the break. So when they came back, I thought, I was just hoping that Bobby would be a better leader here than this to have just another AEW match. He's capable of more. Jungle Boy made a comeback. Bobby stopped him. More back and forth. It wasn't bad, as I said, but I'd kind of got disappointed. But again, Fish was kicking Jungle Boy. And out of nowhere, Jungle Boy grabbed his leg, took him down, got the snare trap, and Fish tapped out. Just boom. There you go. It's the same thing every time. Either there's an angle, there's a run-in, or there's a finish out of nowhere. But we got both of them here because there was an afterbirth, too, after the finish out of nowhere. Here comes Adam Cole. And he and Bobby Fish get some heat on Jungle Boy. And then they pull out 2 chairs from underneath the ring, and the announcers are already calling for, the concerto, which is, as we've mentioned, I think if I could throw anything in the bin, as they say over across the pond, be that fucking concerto in any company by anybody. It's ludicrous. You can't make it look real. But before they get a chance to, here comes Christian Cage and Dino Douche. And they proceeded to hit the ring and beat the shit out of Bobby Fish and took all the heat off of the heels that they just got. And Fish was left in the ring. The others left. Fish was left in the ring to get the shit kicked out of him. And then the babyface just stand there like, come on, we'll do some more to you. They start. I've never seen a show that regularly started an angle at the top of the segment and paid it off and finished it by the time the segment was over with.
A couple things. One, the ratings you asked for. Wednesday night did 913,000 viewers, which is up 4% from last week, but it is still the second lowest audience since July 7th.
Well, I'm sorry. And the previous week with the numbers I was there where they were back down in the 800s. So at least this would back up a little bit. What about Friday night? Have we heard these things yet?
These are the fast national numbers, so these are not completely accurate. It'll more than likely move up slightly. But Rampage garnered 480,000 viewers.
Ouch!
Which is down 14% from last week.
The go home for the pay-per-view. All righty then. Well, speaking of going home...
I don't know if you missed it. Did you see the promo on Dynamite with the Young Bucks and Cole and Fish?
No, I skipped over that completely.
It appeared like...
Because I saw their faces.
Well, they were teasing some sort of dissension. I think they were. between Fish and the Bucks, even though he's Cole's friend and he's aligned with him. So the idea that O'Reilly's coming in, we think, even if Roddy's not, and you get those three together, Red Dragon and Adam Cole, and you have the Bucks and whoever, Omega, Page, whoever, that may be where they're going. And whether you like the Bucks or not, in terms of Vince McMahon and WWE just handing over something that should work, while the Undisputed Era would never get used appropriately on the main roster there, handing the Undisputed Era over to feud with, eventually they could, with the Elite or something. Jesus Christ. I mean, they just handed them the top stars of NXT.
And see, I'll watch that because I'm skipping whatever Adam Cole does because I have liked his work and him as a person so much in the past. If I regularly see him having these garbage matches with the Cucamonga kids and doing all the foolishness and bullshit, by the time they break him loose and they do reestablish the Undisputed Era, he'll be ruined for me. So I am pretty much not watching Adam Cole if he's associating on screen with the Hardy Boys for future generations' sake. I would like to like him in the future.
All right.
But in this case, on this particular Friday night program, there's Adam Cole and the Hardy Boys starting to do a promo, and I start to fast forward, but Page walks in. Adam Page, that is. I know we got a lot of pages, a lot of cages, gauges, etc. Cole walks out, and Adam Page apologizes to the Hardy Boys for being an ass and cost them their title shot and blah, blah, blah. But then he says, but they're even because they did it to him too, so don't touch me on Saturday, or elsewise we'll have problems. So now the babyfaces is apologizing to the heels.
And actually, when you see the pay-per-view, it turns out all the heels ever needed was an apology. That's all they were waiting for was an apology from their
Are you
drunk
kidding?
friend.
Oh, don't spoil anything, but they just wanted an apology from their friend, even though they're heels and he's a babyface. That's all they needed.
Sometimes an apology will do, apparently.
Yeah, well, I wish that the fucking Hardy Boys' parents would apologize for meeting each other so we wouldn't have to go through all this.
The last Stampede would have been great if the week before you just said, Bill, I'm sorry. What am I doing?
Well, I shouldn't have said those things about Joel. Shouldn't have said I'd have him swabbing out toilets and selling Midnight Express bumper stickers. I apologize. Anyway, the next match was Jane Cargill versus Santana Garrett. And Jane won, and then Mark Sterling, the alleged attorney of Jane Cargill, had a cake for her anniversary of when she signed there or signed with him or whatever the fuck. And wouldn't you know, Red Velvet came out and smashed the cake in Mark Sterling's face, who did the worst job of a manager receiving a cake in the face ever, because he's holding it and she tips it up and he just puts it in his face and then puts it back down. And almost none of it stuck to him. You've got to put it in and smoosh it around and get it all over the place and everything. It was just boop, boom. And then they had a pull apart with Jane Cargill and Red Velvet there on the floor. So now the girls are getting pulled apart, but it's just when the most dangerous team of MMA artists in the history of the world and the top Chris Jericho's dinner circle get in a fight, nobody wants to pull them apart. But two girls fighting, we'll pull them apart. I don't know. I know you love Jane. Did I miss anything?
I like Red Velvet. I like Red Velvet more than Jade. Jade is the look. Although she's so much bigger and more defined than everyone else in the division, she not only stands out, but I don't even know who her opponents are. But Red Velvet, even though sometimes she's so energetic, she completely misses what she's trying to do. She's always trying to do something, and she really seems into it. I like Red Velvet.
She's always trying to do something, and she really seems into it.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I don't know what Jade's motivation is.
They did a great package on Kingston and Punk with some biting and realistic comments. That makes it continue to be the only thing that I really want to see on this pay-per-view. And then for whatever reason now, Dante Martin is the belle of the ball, and this may be why this program did 480-something thousand viewers as a go-home show for the pay-per-view because most of it did not promote the pay-per-view.
Now, it was his hometown. That's one of the reasons why he was probably the belle of the ball.
No, but I'm just saying Dante Martin against Arya Daivari. He's Sean Daivari's brother. I'm a big fan of Sean. I've worked with him at OVW and again in TNA, and I'm not saying anything bad about either of these guys, but this was not a lot of star power for your go-home television program for the pay-per-view. And obviously Dante comes out on top, but now Team Taz has made an offer to Dante to join their group. Hey, just think about it. It'll be there when you decide, because Leo Rush wasn't there. So now Team Taz trying to go behind Leo Rush's back. But I got to be honest, if I was in AEW, would I rather be mentored by Leo Rush or a member of Team Taz? I'll take Taz.
I wish you could see the smile on my face right now. Just thinking about a Team Taz Leo Rush feud. It will be the best promos on every show. There'll be things that make you laugh, but not in a stupid wrestling humor kind of way. There'll be some energy, some excitement. This is exactly what I want on this show. Team Taz versus Leo Rush and whoever his stable of proteges are. I can't wait for this.
You know, Brian, if Dante is conflicted on accepting that offer from Team Taz, or just if he's conflicted about anything, or maybe Tony Khan, I'm betting that if Tony Khan had somebody to talk to before he booked these programs, he'd get some advice, he'd do a better job. I bet the folks at BetterHelp would not only give Tony Khan better booking advice than he's getting from some of his roster, but they'd charge him a whole lot less to do it. And I don't mean to make light of a serious situation, but everybody sometimes needs somebody to talk to. I think some of the AEW crew more than most. But if you need somebody to talk to, if there's something interfering with your happiness, preventing you from achieving your goals, then BetterHelp, H-E-L-P, by the way, BetterHelp can help. They'll assess your needs and match you with a licensed professional therapist you can start communicating with in under 48 hours. Professional counseling done securely online with a broad range of expertise. I don't know if there's any budding Eddie Grahams or Roy Shires on the BetterHelp staff. They may not be able to help with booking advice, but they can help you with life advice because BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. You can visit the website betterhelp.com, read the testimonials that are posted daily, and as I mentioned, it's more affordable than either traditional offline counseling or hiring some bug-headed professional wrestler to give you advice. Visit betterhelp.com/JCE, betterhelp.com/JCE, and get 10% off your first month's services. Join the over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional with the folks at BetterHelp. And I have a feeling if I watch any more of these programs, I'm going to be a regular customer myself.
Well, this past week's Friday Night Rampage certainly started off one way and ended a completely different way.
It ended a completely different way. A lumberjack match from the heated episode where Pockets put his own head in Matt Hardy's chair and allowed himself, obviously, right there in front of God and everybody, to be dropped like a rock. Now it's a lumberjack match. Pockets comes out with Chris Flatlander, Wheeler Yuta, and Chucklefuck Taylor, and they're all dressed as lumberjacks. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. With the cap and the checkered shirt, the flannel and the jeans. And then here comes Matt Hardy with, again, half of every tag team, the Blade, Isaiah Cassidy, the Bunnies out there, plus every job guy in the company that they've been paying for all this time that you never see is around the ring.
Yeah, we found out where Pillman Jr. was.
Oh, and there, again, remember we kept asking, where's Brian Pillman Jr.? He's on an independent national television program on Vice that paints him as one of the most sympathetic baby faces in the history of wrestling, which means he gets a win on TV. Then he gets to work with MJF. Rightfully so, does not come out on top of the program with MJF. But instead of then bringing him back for a couple of weeks for rehabilitative wins on television to still keep him in people's minds. He goes into the Federal Witness Protection Program, shows up 2 months later as a lumberjack in a job guy match. Thanks for coming, Brian Pillman Jr. And before the bell, all the lumberjacks started fighting with each other before the people in the match did, which gave me the opportunity to reach for my remote before I had to see Pockets do anything.
Wait, did you not see why they were all fighting?
And Matt Hardy said if somebody will knock him out, I'll give him 20 grand or whatever.
He just starts yelling, not even 20 grand. I think it was like 5 grand or something. And all these wrestlers on AEW Raw like, oh shit, let's get moving. And then it just turned into
another guy giving out free money.
I wonder where he got that gimmick.
But here's the thing. Until the company mascot here comes up with a new joke, I can't come up with any new jokes about him. It's the same. These matches are all the same. It's clownishness and foolishness and people stooging for his ridiculous one-note gimmick, one punchline joke. And as seen on Twitter, full of botches, including the whiff on the Superman punch and Matt Hardy missing an elbow drop and then trying to claim it was on purpose. You can't take this serious. And it seems like the Friday night show has become the depository for all of this tomfoolery, because I understand they're embarrassed to have it on Wednesday night where more people are watching. But the problem is it's a work and you don't have to have it at all. And if you've made a mistake and put a bunch of these interchangeable preliminary wrestlers together in various combinations, it just take them all off. Concentrate on your stars, and if you see some of these guys have some talent, then rehabilitate them. They're the ones that ought to disappear for a while instead of Brian Pillman Jr., who's ready to go, or instead of some of these other people that we like and then never see again. But we got to put up with the best fucking friends every week just because the boss is a mark for them and the mascot's his favorite Halloween costume. Dismantle this. It's not doing nothing for ratings. Nobody wants to see it. And it's just basically detracting from the rest of your program. And concentrate on building your new stars that have a chance of contributing in the future instead of this mess of falderall. My thoughts. What are your thoughts?
I'm no Orange Cassidy fan, but to me the problem here is Matt Hardy more than Orange Cassidy. And that's not to say I want his gimmick or anything around, but
I was talking about both combinations.
Okay.
I was talking about Matt Hardy and Blade and Isaiah Cat, all these. Just stop. Just stop. Put them in single matches on YouTube. Let them figure out what else they need to do and put something else coherent together in a few months. But don't just keep putting these guys out here to do the same shit every week, and it's all rotten.
And now Matt Hardy's even calling him Pockets. Did you see that?
Well, yeah, and he's stealing my material, too. I should have trademarked Pockets when I trademarked myself.
Mr. Irrelevant strikes again.
I could sue Matt Hardy for gimmick infringement on my gimmick, but I didn't trademark it. I just didn't think ahead far enough. But yeah, I mean, they have to do something to appeal to the people that like their show, that want to see me gutted with a rusty fishing knife and boiled in oil and have my fat sold for soap. So the heels start using my knocks and the baby faces start beating my surrogates. But I'm just over here telling the truth as I see it.
And that was AEW Rampage.
Yes, it certainly was. And I was in a rampage.